welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Nadine, and welcome back to this brand new video. If you're new here and you don't know who I am or what I'm about, my name is Nadine. I do all kinds of things on my channel. I do beauty, fashion, I do some vlogging here and there. I do midwifery related content such as this. I do some fun videos, challenges here and there, so don't forget to hit that subscribe button and join my YouTube family. Also head over to my Instagram and click that follow button, as I do some amazing content over on my Instagram. I also do some behind the scenes footage when I'm at work or when I'm out and about, so make sure you follow me on Instagram. My details will be in the description box below, and it will pop up on the screen while this video is playing. And for all my returning subscribers that are tuning in once again, hello, hi, thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you guys for sticking by me basically. So this video is basically for all my newly qualified midwives, those that have either just finished their degree, those that are applying for work, those that are about to start work, just to give you guys some advice, some tricks, some things that you can take on board or consider when you're working to make your life a lot easier, to make your shift run a lot smoother. Just a little bit of background about me. I've been qualified for almost a year now. I've been working for almost 5 months now, and there's some things that I've picked up on the way that I think are important, that have made my life a lot easier. And I just felt like filming this video just to share with you guys some tips, some advice on how you can make your shift a lot smoother, and how, you know, you can stay on top of things, stay organized, and be a little bit, you know, stress-free while you're working. So without further ado, let's get into this video. So the first thing that I would recommend as a newly qualified midwife, what you should do and kind of get into a habit of doing, is preparing for your shifts before you go on your shift. So preparing for your shift either the night before, the day before, and getting all your things and all your bits organized, so that when you are, you know, going to your shift, you have your pencils, you have your pens, you have your notebooks, you have your water bottle, prepare your lunch, or have the money ready for when you need to go and buy lunch. There's nothing worse than turning up on a shift and you've either forgotten your lunch, you have no money, and you know, there's nothing for you to eat, and you're just going to be starving on that shift. And there's nothing worse than going on a shift and you have no pen, and you're having to ask people for pen, borrow pens. It's just a nightmare. So what I would advise for all my newly qualified midwives is prepare for each shift. Make sure your bag is packed, you have your ID badge, you have everything that you will need for work before you go to work. I've been to work before and I didn't bring any lunch. I left my purse home and I was hungry, and when you're hungry you sometimes can't think straight, or when you're thirsty you can't think straight. So prepare your lunch, prepare your bag, prepare your pens, bring your ID, prepare your uniform. Make sure your uniform is cleaned, ironed, and prepared for when you are needing to wear your uniform. So my first advice is prepare for each shift before you go on shift. So another advice that I will give is introduce yourself at every single shift. If you get new women, the same women, always introduce yourself. So just be like, hello, my name is Nadine, I'll be the midwife looking after you today, and just ask them questions. You know, it gives you a chance to build a rapport, get to know them, how they're feeling. You get to understand, you know, where they are mentally. If they have any questions, it will be a good time for them to ask you questions. So always introduce yourself, say who you are and your name, say what you'll be doing for them, say your job role. Sometimes people, you know, when I'm on labour ward, everybody is in scrubs, so they don't know who's the MA, they don't know who's the midwife, they don't know who's the doctor. So just say, hello, my name is Nadine, I'll be your midwife for today. If you have any questions or if you need anything, you can come to me. Also tell them that even if, you know, you're not around or you're having to go like on your break, just let them know if you need anything, you can ask so and so, you can ask so and so. But it will be good for you to just kind of introduce yourself, get them talking, build that rapport, get them, you know, ask them questions, get a feel of how they are, you know, where they've been, how their labor has been. It also allows you to gain a clear picture of, you know, their care, what they need, how they're feeling, and all of that. So that advice is always introduce yourself, ask questions, and tell them who you are, what you're going to do. It just makes, you know, your life a lot easier and their life a lot easier. It makes the women feel that they're, you know, able to speak to you, talk to you, they know who you are, they know what you're doing for them, and it just makes everything a lot easier. So the next advice that I would give is, every time you come on shift, I will suggest that you check your equipment yourself. So even if your equipment has been checked that night, that morning, always check it yourself, because sometimes people don't check it properly, or they were in a rush and they've left things out. Always check your own equipment, because if anything goes wrong, you can't say, well, that person checked it and it was their fault. They will always blame the current midwife that is on shift. For example, if you are in a room and your resuscitator hasn't been checked, or it was checked by another midwife, and then something goes wrong, it will be on your head. So always check your equipment before you use them every time you go on shift. Always check that your room is fully stocked. There's nothing worse than going into a drawer and, say for example, you're with a labouring woman and you need a delivery pack, and you go into a drawer and there's no delivery pack, and you're having to run outside or get someone to get a delivery pack, and that woman is pushing. So I will suggest check all the drawers, make sure it's fully stocked with everything you need. There's a delivery pack, there's syringes, there's bottles if you need to take bloods, everything. If you need to cannulate, there's cannulation equipment in your drawers. Always check your drawers and make sure they are fully stocked. Sometimes, you know, people don't have the time to restock them after a shift, when you're changing shift or handing over and stuff like that. So make sure your equipment is working and you've checked them yourself. The room is fully stocked, so that in an emergency or if anything happens, your room is stocked and you're just, you know, able to go and be efficient with it. Another thing I say is make sure you have the drips, your IV stands available in each room. Make sure you have your papers if you need CTG paper, if you need any documentation paper. Make sure you prepare that at the beginning of every single shift. There's nothing worse than always having to run out of your room to get bits and papers and things like that, and you're having to walk out your room and trying to find papers, trying to find CTG papers, trying to find an IV drip, trying to find a pump. It's just not great. So make sure you have all of those things in your room. Your room is fully equipped, your equipment has been checked, and everything is working. So the next advice that I will give is at the start of your shift. This goes for people working on labour ward and either the postnatal or antenatal ward. When you are taking over shift, make sure you check what is happening in the room. So go over and have a look at the CTG. Is the CTG suspicious, pathological, or is it normal? Have a look at the CTG before you take handover, before that midwife that you're taking over goes home. Have a look at the CTG, and if there's anything not right, ask the midwife that's on shift and be like, what's happening here? Always check your CTG before you leave, before the other midwife leaves shift. Also, when you take handover and you're about to start your shift, also check the medication that is running. Say for example, if a woman is on Synto, if there's another IV medication running, check it with that midwife that's handing over to you. Just ask, what is the medication that's running through this IV? How long has it been running? What is, you know, what is the protocol? What are you doing? If you're not sure, always check the medication that is running via IV. Never ever just be like, oh, take a quick short handover and be like, yeah, you'll sort it out later. Always ask, is the CTG okay? What is the medication that's running in this pump or in this IV? What is the rate that you're running on? How long is it running for? When is this set to stop, or when is this set to, you know, ask all the necessary questions when it comes to your CTG, your IV drips that's running before you take that handover. So adding to that is, make sure you obtain a clear and concise handover before taking over that shift. So if you are arriving on shift and you are allocated to a woman, they say you are looking after the woman in room 5, you go there and you start taking handover from the midwife that was on shift before you. Make sure you obtain a clear and concise handover. Don't miss anything out. Check everything, including the woman's allergies, including the blood group, including what's the plan moving forward, what has been done before, why is the woman on labour ward, why is the woman in the birth centre, what's been going on. Get a clear picture of the whole scenario and make sure you obtain as much information as you can. So in my hospital we use the SBAR tool, which is the situation, background, assessment and recommendation. So if you just lay it out like that, you won't miss anything out. So you ask, what is the situation, what's going on, why is the woman here, what's been going on, and then you ask for the background. Is there any medical history, is there any social history, is there any you know, has she got any obstetric history, is there, you know, what's her blood work, is her serology, NAD, all of that. And then the assessment, what assessment has she had, what VEs has she had, all kinds of assessment, what assessment has she had, and what is the recommendation or the plan. What's the plan moving forward, what's the plan, you know, what's the plan moving forward, what needs to happen, and if there's no plan, are the doctors aware to come and review this woman, or should I then go chase the doctors up to come and review this woman so that we can come up with a plan. So make sure you take a very detailed handover and don't miss out on any information. Make sure that the midwife that's handing over to you has told you everything that you need to know about the woman that you are taking care of. So another advice that I'll give you guys is make sure you check your blood results and your results yourself. So this has happened to me, you know, numerous times, and I've seen this happen numerous times. You get a clear, detailed handover, but they get some information wrong. So, you know, a midwife told me that this woman has no allergies, and then when I go into her notes, it's written that she has allergies to certain medication. So basically either that midwife forgot to mention it, or forgot that she had allergies, or she didn't look or ask the woman if she had allergies. So make sure you check your own results and you check the woman's notes yourself, and you also even ask the woman, do you have allergies, because they know if they have allergies or not. So even if you take a very detailed handover, make sure you check things like allergies yourself. Make sure you check things like blood group, because sometimes midwives that are handing over can tell you the wrong blood group. Either they haven't checked, or they've, you know, have heard it wrong from other people. So make sure you check your own blood work. Also check that she has a valid group and save. Yeah, check your results yourself, check your blood work yourself, check your allergies yourself. Make sure you ask the woman as well, because things can be either missed or things can be wrong. People can tell you the wrong information on handover, and you're having to go off what other people tell you, and then at the end of the day it will be your fault because you're the one that's taken over that handover. So if you're here saying this woman has no allergies and she has allergies, and they give her the wrong medication that she's allergic to, it will be your fault. You can't say, well, the other midwife told me she had no allergies. No, because then they'll be like, why didn't you look it up yourself? You're supposed to read the notes yourself and find this information out yourself. Even though you get a very detailed handover, you still need to go and look through the notes, look through the results, see if there's anything that they might have missed or said wrong. So I would highly suggest that you look at all your bloods yourself, ask the woman if she has allergies herself, and other things that you may not be sure about or you think that the midwife got wrong, check for yourself. So another advice that I'll give is make sure that your rota is easily accessible. What I mean by this is that you can pull up your rota and have a look at it no matter the time, no matter the day. There's nothing worse than going on a shift and you're not supposed to be there, or you've come on the wrong shift. You're supposed to be on day and you've come on the night. Always look at your rota daily, weekly, monthly. Have it ready, available. So what I tend to do is I take a screenshot of my rota and I have it in my hospital album on my camera, so I can literally constantly go and look at my rota without having to log in on the system and get my rota up. So that helps me. Or I add it into my calendar, so I know I'm doing a night here, I'm doing a day here, and the times, etc. So make sure you look at your rota, you know what days you need to come in, you know the times, you know the dates. There's nothing worse than missing shifts, turning up at the wrong shifts, turning up at the wrong time, or going to the wrong place. Just make sure you pay attention to your rota and that it is easily accessible to you. So the next piece of advice that I'll give you guys that has helped me is that I have written down all the extension numbers or all the important numbers that I need when I'm in, you know, the hospital, and I need to, you know, to ring another ward, I need to bleep the registrars, I need to bleep the doctors, I need to bleep the peds. So what I have done is, at the back of my ID card, I don't know if you can see it. Okay, there we go. So at the back of my ID card, I basically have all the extension numbers, all the bleep numbers that are needed and that I use constantly. So if I need to bleep the peds for like an emergency, or if they need to come and review my baby, I just look at the back of my ID badge and I have the number here already. If I need to bleep, I don't know, DAU, triage, if I need to bleep the SHO, the doctors, I have the numbers here. So in case of an emergency, I have this on me at all times when I'm at work. So I have the numbers here in case I forget any numbers, or if I'm new to the environment, which I'm new to this hospital, I didn't train here, so there was loads of numbers that I needed to learn. So I just put a sticky label, like a clear label, and I just basically noted down all the numbers that I constantly have to look up or have to use, which has helped me a lot. Helped me a lot. So this is some advice that I'll give you guys, whether you want to take it on or not, but this has definitely helped me. So another thing that has helped me is I always prepare my handover sheet before the end of the shift. So I will start putting together a handover sheet for the next midwife like an hour before the end of my shift. So I start putting all the information together around 7 o'clock before handover at 8 o'clock. So I get a brand new handover sheet and I start putting, you know, the parity, the EDD, the gestation of the woman, the blood group of the woman, allergies, everything, all the VEs that she's had, all the medication that she's had, why she is on labour ward or antenatal ward or whichever ward she is. I start, you know, gathering all that information and putting it on my handover sheet, so that when the next midwife comes and on handover, I'm not all over the place and I don't know how to give a proper handover, or I'm forgetting things, or, you know, I'm just rushing all over the place, because always towards the end of the shift is when things get crazy. So when things get crazy, you want to be prepared and on it when it comes to handing over to the next midwife. So I always prepare my handover sheet an hour before, so that when 8 o'clock comes and that next midwife is knocking on the door saying, "Hi, I'm here to take over," I can be like, "Sure," and then you give her a clear and concise handover, because you've prepared it, you've, you know, put all the things in the right places, you know what to say, you know what's been going on, you're not confused, and you're organized. So that's what I've been doing. I've been preparing my handover sheet maybe like an hour before, and also, you know, putting in all the information as I go on up until 8 o'clock, and then 8 o'clock comes, everything is there ready to give a clear and detailed handover without missing anything out. So another thing that's helped me on shift is I tend to do like a checklist of things that need to be done and the times these things need to be done. So for example, if I come on shift and I receive a handover and there's things need to be given, like this woman needs to start Synto at 5 o'clock, I'll put it on my checklist, Synto at 5, and I'll put a box there, I'll tick it once I've done it. And they tell me, you know, you need to do observations every 4 hours. I do obs and I put the time that is due and I put a box there, and if I've done it, I just tick it. Or, you know, a VE is due at 6 o'clock, so I'll put VE due at and the time, and I'll put a box there and I'll tick it once it's done. That just helps me not to forget things. So when I'm on shift, there's a lot of things that I need to remember, there's a lot of things that are going on, there's a lot of things just that are all over the place. So for me to be organized and know what I'm doing and when I'm doing it, I create a checklist of everything that needs to be done for this woman and the times that these things need to be done, so that nothing gets missed. So if there's a certain medication that's due a certain time, I'll put it on my checklist, or I just keep checking the drug chart and making sure that I'm not missing any medication. If there's VEs that are due, I put it there on my checklist, and I make sure that that VE is due when it's due. Or if I need to start a certain medication, or if I need to, you know, give something, or if I need to take this woman for a scan at a certain time, it's there, you know, I'll put it on my list, and I make sure that this woman goes to that appointment or goes to this scan or has this medication at that time. So that has really helped me to stay organized and to stay on top of my care that I'm delivering, and not to forget things, because I tend to forget things if, you know, things get crazy, or if things get, you know, overwhelming. You will forget to do certain things, like just the small things like observations, which is the small things. Obviously medication, you cannot forget to give a woman medication, or you cannot forget to do a vagina examination. Those things you just don't forget, but it will just help you if you write all the small things like observations and all the big things like VEs and medication, just so you are, you know, on top of things, you are organized, you are being reminded by your checklist. So yeah. So another thing that's also helped me out a lot, because I started working at a hospital that I didn't train at, all the guidelines and protocols were different. So what I tend to do on every shift, if I get a new case that I am not sure about, I would read around the guidelines and protocols of that hospital. So if I'm on break, if I'm on my way to work, if I have some free time, if the hospital or the ward that I'm on is quiet and there's not much going on, I would read around, you know, the policies and protocols of certain things that, you know, I will be around or that I will have to, you know, deal with. For example, if I'm looking after a diabetic woman that is on a sliding scale, so I will read the policy or the protocol for that trust and how to deal with a woman that's diabetic and that needs a sliding scale during labor. So things like induction of labor and how that works and what you need to do in the certain medication, things like Synto, how to give Synto and how to put up the Synto and all of that jazz. Every single time I don't know what I'm doing, or I'm new to something and I'm doing something new, I always look at the policies and protocols, you know, just so I can get my head around on how to do that certain skill, or how to look after that certain woman that is on that medication, or that needs that certain medication, or that needs that certain treatment. Also, you can ask people, there's senior midwives around that you can ask, but it's also good for yourself if you read over the policies, the guidelines and the protocols, just so that you know yourself, and that you know that you are getting the correct information at all times. So my last and final piece of advice is, if you're ever unsure on shift about anything, ask another midwife that is more senior, or ask the midwife in charge. For example, I've been on shift and I was looking at my CTG and I was like, this CTG is doing a madness. There's like no variability, and I'm getting small details here and there. So I was like, I'm not happy with this CTG, and I just can't sit on it and not do nothing about it. So I literally got the midwife in charge to come and look at my CTG. So in doing that, we came up with a plan, and I was able to then know what to do if I was ever alone or in that situation by myself and everyone was busy. She came over, helped me, she taught me that certain things, and she was like, when you ever see, you know, reduced variability, get the woman to drink, change position, etc, etc. So I highly suggest that if you're ever in doubt, or if you're ever unsure about anything, ask someone senior. Don't be afraid to be like, you know what, I don't know what I'm doing, or you know what, I don't know what I'm looking at, this CTG just looks crazy to me, or I don't know if this is okay. If you ever have that gut feeling that something is not right and you can't put your finger on it, or you just don't know what to do, always ask someone senior, always get a second opinion. Don't ever sit on something and hoping it'll be fine or it'll be resolved, or don't ever feel like you're too shy to go and, you know, pull the midwife in charge to come and see your CTG, because at the end of the day, that's what they're there for. The midwife's in charge, the midwife that's in charge for that shift is there to make sure everything runs smoothly. So if your CTG is not looking smooth and crisp, then get that, you know, midwife in charge to have a look at your CTG, because that is what she's there for. She's there to make sure that everything runs smoothly. So yeah, that's the last piece of advice that I have. I hope this video was interesting for you guys, and that you, I don't know, picked a few things that you would use while on shift. If you have and you are doing some of these things, make sure you comment below and let me know how it's going, or if it's helped. I would love to know. But yeah, that's the end of my video. I hope to see you guys in my next video, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you're not subscribed already, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.